Hello, I'm Mary Kao, and I'm going to now teach you how to make a flower that uses tissue paper, okay? They call this a rose. They're all folded exactly the same way, but they sometimes come out a little differently. So this is tissue paper. I'm trying to use materials that you all have at home. This was most likely came in a gift package, and I saved the gift wrap paper, I saved tissue paper, I save all kinds of paper. After all, I do paper folding, right? So, I'm sure you have paper like this. You could even use white tissue paper, okay? It has to be a larger sheet, all right? And any color would do. So I'm going to do this using a double layer of tissue because it makes the flower firmer. Okay, so out of this sheet of paper, I am going to get two separate sheets, an inner sheet that's smaller to give it the body, and then an outer sheet that is larger. So I'm just slicing it through. And then finding the square by folding it into a triangle. This is what I did. From the smaller one, corner, go right into the corner, fold it down, and then go across it, and you've got a square. Okay. So what are we going to use for the stem? Well, if you get Chinese takeout or any of the places that sell Asian food, they usually give you disposable chopsticks. Okay, chopsticks would make a wonderful stem. Here I wrapped it with another sheet of green tissue paper. Okay, so what I did was I took green tissue and I made a crease along here, and since it's not really going to be important that it's exactly straight along the edge, there, it does. Okay, and then what I did was I folded it over the top like this. Why am I showing you the stem first? Because once the flower is made, we need the stem, right? So I'm getting the stem prepared. And then what you do is you're rolling the paper at an angle, nice and tight, along the chopstick. And I'm not going to even need the whole length of the paper. So I'm going to cut it off here, or rip it, and then fold the paper over and tighten it. Now you could put a dab of glue, I guess, on it to hold the edge tight, but the rest of it, there, you've got a wonderful rose stem, and this has no thorns on it either. So isn't that wonderful? Okay, so here I'm going to make a larger square. So I'm going to determine that this is the size that I'm going to need. And I wonder what I'm going to use this scrap of tissue for later. You know, people who know me say, don't throw anything away, give it to Mary, because she'll make something out of it. Okay, so here we go. All right, I'm going to lay this in the center. You could, if you wanted, put a dab of glue. The kind of glue that I usually use is from a glue stick, because it's a nice, firm, not wet glue, whereas Elmer's glue or white glue tends to be very wet. So you could do that if you wanted. Okay, so now I am ready to do my creasing. Okay, actually, it's a different form. It's not folding. So I'm going to find the center. How do we find the center? All right, I can eyeball it, or I can fold the paper over in half and fold it over in half again. This we call a napkin fold, because if you usually open up a napkin, this is how it is, right? So this is called a napkin fold. So I'm going to turn it over because I want the small piece of paper to be on the inside of the flower. And as I said, that is just going to be for strengthening and giving it more body. Okay. At the very center, I'm pinching. And when I'm pinching, I want to make sure I have both sheets of paper together. Okay? Now, for this process, you have to put it flat on a surface, and you're going to start twisting with your hand, like so. Okay? And you go back to that little handle that you made by holding the paper up and keep on going and twisting. And it's kind of going to look like a whirlpool, and you keep on doing it. Do it firmly, but gently, so that your tissue paper does not tear. Okay? I think I'm going to be brave and take off my hand and show you midway through what it is, and hopefully it'll hold. So this is what it looks like. So I'm going to find my finger and thumb back in the same spot and keep on going. If you want to learn patience, this is a wonderful way to do something like this. In fact, origami is just wonderful to teach you how to stay calm and enjoy something beautiful. And like I said earlier, that origami is very much connected with mathematics. So you saw how large the sheet of paper was when we began, and now see it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And each time I'm laying it flat and making sure that things are pretty even as I go around. So I'm going to try and get it all the way pretty much the edge. So that way I have a nice flower. It hasn't torn yet. And this is just regular tissue paper. This is not the expensive mulberry paper, but just regular tissue paper. Okay, I'm going to show it to you right now. That's what the center looks like. Okay, it's holding because it's nice and tight. Okay. So it's really a challenge for me to say, okay, if I'm going to do this and you're going to be doing it at home, I want to try to have you get the materials together of things that you already might have at home. Now, some of you who are real neatniks and throw everything away once you get it, you may not have this handy, but I guess I'm not in the category of neatnik because I try to save everything. Okay, and now my paper, you could see, is coming down to a tiny little spot. Okay, there we go. All right. So like I say, every flower turns out differently, okay? And it really doesn't matter. It's perfectly fine. And this is nice and thick in here because all that paper was gathered together. But it looks just like a rose as it's beginning to bloom, with all, you could see all the petals in there. Okay. And here's what it's looked like on the inside. Now we have to get this onto a stem. Okay. So, like I said, if I let it down, it's going to stay because I was careful to twist it really tight. Okay. This is cotton. It came from inside of a jar of supplements. You know, sometimes when you buy supplements, it's only 1/4 or 1/2 of the container, and the rest of it, they stuff it with something like cotton. So here I go. There's cotton. What I'm going to do is put it on the inside. And then take my stem and stick it through the cotton. That way it holds and it won't come through the paper. And I'm just carefully wrapping this around. And then tightening it on the bottom so that it's not so bulky. I'm also going to trim or just tear away some of this excess paper that's not needed. Now, will I throw these scraps away, you're wondering? No, I'm going to use it for another project that I do scenery for making origami greeting cards, and then I use scraps to this color would probably be where the landscape would have orangey colored flowers in the garden, okay? So I tried to use everything. This way it doesn't go to the landfill either. So there's my flower, okay. And I'm going to have to tighten it up. I'm going to use my plastic with wire in the center straps that grocery stores use for their produce. It's nice and long. And I turned it around and came together, and I'm going to twist it so that it stays put. And then I'm going to wrap it a couple of times around. Okay, let's make sure that stays nice and snug. It is. And I'm going to wrap it around really tight. Okay, that's enough, just like that. It's holding it fine. Now you could change at this point, change the look of the flower by opening it out a little or whatever, but that's beautiful, even if I say so myself, because it's not always easy to be doing a demonstration. You know what? Whenever you do a demonstration, it's really hard. Things don't usually work out, but this has worked out beautifully. Okay, so to wrap that up, I'm going to just take some green paper, tissue paper, and pull it around. If you don't have a glue stick at home, you have thread, green thread. You could take some green thread and tie it around and knot it. Okay. Now, if you don't have a glue stick at home, this is what in Asian countries we do for paste. You could take flour, wheat flour, and add a little water to it and cook it on low heat till it becomes pasty. And there's your paste. And you could use that if you don't have a glue stick at home, okay? So that tissue is going to hold till I get some glue stick on it. And there's my tissue rose. I made some others. And wouldn't this be a beautiful bouquet to add or to present or to make a centerpiece or to even use? I've done this for weddings, for men's boutonnieres, for the bride's bouquet would be all flowers made from paper. And that's something you certainly can keep forever. Okay, so these are all the same flowers, all made from tissue, all done exactly the same way as I showed you just now. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for sticking with me and watching this demonstration, and I sure hope you will try it at home. Thank you.